Okay, this is from Steam It. Who were Aleister Crowley, Anton LaVey, Michael Aquino, and L. Ron Hubbard? How do they all connect? How does Epstein's ranch in New Mexico tie into what some would call a cult? I'm not going to cover that part. And written by Artistic Jewels. Setianism redirects here for the branch of Gnosticism. See, Setianism, the Temple of Set, is an occult initiatory order founded in 1975, a new religious movement and form of Western esotericism. The temple espouses a religion known as Setianism, whose practitioners are called Setians. This is sometimes identified as a form of Satanism, although this term is not often embraced by Setians and is contested by some academics. Isn't that interesting? I've heard of it before. The temple was established in the United States in 1975 by Michael Aquino. He's also high in military ranks. An American political scientist, military officer, and a high-ranking member of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. Dissatisfied with the direction in which LaVey was taking the church, Aquino resigned, allegedly, and according to his own claim, embarked on a ritual to invoke Satan, who revealed to him a sacred text called the Book of Coming Forth by Night. According to Aquino, in this work, Satan revealed his true name to be that of Set, which has been the name used by his followers in ancient Egypt. Funny how all these white people are taking on these old Egyptian religions. Weird, huh? Aquino was joined in establishing the temple by a number of other dissatisfied members of LaVey's church, and soon various Setian groups were established across the United States. That's interesting. Almost like it was planned. Michael Aquino, dissatisfied with the direction in which LaVey was taking the church, Aquino resigned and, according to his own claim, embarked on a ritual to invoke Satan, who revealed to him a sacred text called the Book of Coming Forth by Night. According to Aquino, in this work, Satan revealed his true name to be that of Set, which had been the name used by his followers in ancient Egypt. Aquino was joined in establishing the temple by a number of other dissatisfied members of LaVey's church, and soon various Setian groups were established across the United States. How many of these celebrities have we seen with Egyptian stage sets? Must be a coincidence. The Temple of Set is an occult initiatory order another order, you see, like a fraternal order, founded in 1975. A new religious movement and form of Western esotericism. The temple espouses a religion known as Setianism, whose practitioners are called Setians. This is sometimes identified as a form of Satanism. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, it's the way it's written. The temple was established in the United States in 1975 by Michael Aquino, an American political scientist, military officer, and a high-ranking member of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. Trying to give you guys some nuggets. In here, both Aquino and his daughter, High Priestess, and their cult are interviewed. The show addresses exorcism in the heart of the Haitian section in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, they always got to pin it on the black people. I mean, I know it goes on, but it's not just dark-skinned people practicing these things. Aquino made his first mainstream media appearance in 1988 on the Geraldo Rivera Show. Bringing this in where he starts to speak about Aquino and his position in the military. There's also a lot of information and research out there that you can find. I don't want to say too much. Anyways, there was, put it like this, relating to children and corn and the T word. Never got busted, of course. They boast Satan over God. Wasn't that the first seed of rebellion? Satan trying to overtake God in heaven? They speak of blessings of hell. So Anton LaVey resurrected the Satan worship of Aleister Crowley. He resurrected it, you guys. There's way more to it than Crowley. It's just interesting. As is usually the case for most deep dives, in order to go forward, we must go back. Aleister Crowley, born Edward Alexander Crowley, 1875 to 1947, 47, was an English occultist, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, and mountaineer. He founded the religion of Thelema, identifying himself as a prophet entrusted with guiding humanity into the Aeon of Horus in the early 20th century. Born to a wealthy family in Royal Leamington Spa, Warwickshire, Crowley rejected his parents' fundamentalist Christian Plymouth Brethren faith, allegedly, to pursue an interest in Western esotericism. He was educated at Trinity College at the University of Cambridge. Some biographers allege that here he was recruited into a British intelligence agency. That's how they work. Further suggesting that he remained a spy throughout his life. It's so much more than being a spy, you guys. He was trained in ceremonial magic by Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers and Alan Bennett. Studied Hindu and Buddhist practices in India. I think Jesus did as well. He married Rose Edith Kelly, and in 1904 they honeymooned in Cairo, Egypt, where Crowley claimed to have been contacted by a supernatural entity named Iwas, who provided him with the Book of the Law, a sacred text that served as the basis for Thelema, announcing the start of Aeon of Horus. The book declared that its followers should do without wilt and seek to align themselves with their true will through the practice of magic. Crowley gained widespread notoriety during his lifetime being a recreational drug experimenter. See how they dirty everyone's... I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying... I don't trust everything that's just given to us. Being a recreational drug experimenter, bisexual, and an individual social critic. This is why they are big on the Baphomet and pushing a blank agenda. His mother described him as the Beast, a name that he reveled in. Don't you guys think that's odd that the mom would say you're the Beast? Come on. With the financial assistance of sympathetic Freemasons, of course, Crowley revived the Equinox with the first issue of Volume 3, known as the Blue Equinox. If he's from a wealthy family, why does he need all this money? Just think about some of the stuff. He spent mid-1919 on a climbing holiday in Montauk. Where have we heard that word before? Before returning to London in December. Aleister Crowley and the Montauk Project. In the summer of 1918, Crowley, whilst living in New York City, he sure gets around for being so broke, right? Went to Montauk, Long Island, on a magical retreat, the details of which remain a mystery. Still, though, some researchers believe it is somehow linked to the weird goings-on that would be ascribed to the secret U.S. government program. In January 1920, he moved to Paris, renting a house in Fontainebleau with Leah Herzig. They were joined in a blue atra, you guys should know, by Nanette Shumway. It's because that's part of their rituals. And also in living arrangement by Leah's newborn daughter, Anne Poupée Leah. Crowley chose Cefalù on Sicily, Italy, as a location, and after arriving there began renting the old Villa Santa Barbara as his abbey. They wore robes and performed rituals to the sun god Ra at set times during the day, also occasionally performing their Gnostic Mass. The rest of the day they were left to follow their own interests. He offered a liberty and education for the children, allowing them to play all day and witness acts of magic. Witness. He occasionally traveled to Palermo to visit rent boys and buy supplies, including drugs. After befriending him in January 1932, he took the communist Gerald Hamilton as a lodger, through whom he was introduced to many figures, listen to these stories, within the Berlin far left. Could it be the Nazis, maybe? It is possible that he was operating as a spy for British intelligence at this time. This is the story they give us, you guys, just so you know. Monitoring the communist movement. In 1937, Crowley was now living largely off contributions supplied by the OTO's Agape Lodge in California, led by rocket scientist John Whiteside Jack Parsons. Crowley was intrigued by the rise of Nazism. He was intrigued, you guys. Must be a coincidence. And wasn't little mustache boy like a big visitor of the, oh, what's it called? You know, in Rome, or where all the, I can't think of it right, the Vatican. Must be a coincidence. He was intrigued by the rise of Nazism in Germany, and influenced by his friend Martha Kunzel, believed that Adolf Blank H might convert to Thelema. He might convert, you guys. Must be a coincidence. On 1st December 1947, there's that 47 again, Crowley died in Netherwood of chronic bronchitis, aggravated by pleurisy and myocardial degeneration, age 72. So maybe it wasn't from all the other stories that we hear about. He died from opium overdosing and addiction. I don't know. Crowley used satanic imagery, excuse me, for instance, by describing himself as the beast 666 and referring to the Whore of Babylon in his work. Madonna seems to like that one as well. While in later life he sent anti-Christmas cards to his friends. In his writings, Crowley occasionally identified Aiwass as Satan and designated him as our Lord God, the devil, at one occasion. Crowley described democracy as an imbecile and nauseating cult of weakness, and commented that the book of the law proclaimed that there is the master and there is the slave. Interesting. The noble and the serf. Interesting. The lone wolf and the herd. Where have we heard the word herd before? Moo. In this attitude, he was influenced by the work of Friedrich Nietzsche and by social Darwinism. He was influenced, you guys. Anton LaVey, born Howard Stanton LaVey, 1930 to 1997. Born in Chicago, Illinois. His father, Michael Joseph LaVey, 1903 to 1992, from Chicago, Illinois, married LaVey's mother, Gertrude Augusta LaVey, née Coultrin, who was born to a Georgian father and Ukrainian mother, both of whom emigrated to Ohio in 1893, becoming naturalized American citizens in 1900. LaVey's family moved to California, where he spent his early life in the San Francisco Bay Area. His parents supported his musical interest as he tried a number of instruments. LaVey later claimed to have seen that many of the same men attended both the Bawdy Saturday night shows and the tent revival meetings on Sunday mornings, which reinforced his increasingly cynical view of religion. Yeah, so that's why he went into another one, right? In the winter of 1948, LaVey began to work as an organist in bars, lounges, and nightclubs. His genius on keyboards helped him attain gigs. While playing organ in Los Angeles burlesque houses, he allegedly had a brief affair with then unknown Marilyn Monroe when she was a dancer at the Mayan Theater. Didn't Marilyn Monroe also have ties to JFK and Charlie Igloo Alpha? Huh, interesting. According to his biography, LaVey moved back to San Francisco. In 1950, LaVey met Carol Lansing. They married the following year when Lansing was 15 years old. 15 years old. Lansing gave birth to LaVey's first daughter, Carla LaVey, born in 1952. In order to avoid the Korean War draft, of course, he studied criminology at City College of San Francisco. LaVey then attained a job as a photographer for the San Francisco Police Department, where he worked for 3 years. Interesting. He dabbled as a psychic investigator, looking into 800 calls referred to him by SFPD. After LaVey became entranced by Diane Hegarty, Hegarty and LaVey never married. However, she was his companion for 24 years and mothered his second daughter, Zena Galeta Schreck, née LaVey, in 1963. At the end of their relationship, Hegarty sued for palimony. Zena Schreck, born Zena Galeta LaVey, November 19, 1963, known professionally by her mononymous artist name Zena, is a Berlin-based American visual and musical artist, author and the spiritual leader of the Sethian Liberation Movement. Of course she is. SLM, which she founded. She founded it, you guys, in 2002. She came to international prominence early in life as the church's first spokesperson, defending the organization during the 1980s. In 1990, she resigned her position, severed ties with her father, Anton LaVey, and his church, and renounced the church's tenets. Since that time, her religion changed to Buddhism. Isn't that interesting, you guys? Huh? And she is now a teacher. She's a teacher of Tibetan Tantric Buddhism. On May 23, 1967, 3-year-old Zena had the first and most highly publicized, the first, you guys, satanic baptism in history. In history, everyone. Performed by her father. This is the first time. In an interview with the Guardsmen, she describes becoming a mother at the age of 14. Huh, interesting. While living in a stifling, dysfunctional family life. Sounds like abuse. In 1985, Zena became the high priestess of the Church of Satan and remained its spokesperson until 1990. You guys want to find some real interesting stuff? Go do a Google search for Anton LaVey's son, what he did to him. I don't remember his name. It's kind of hard to find, but it was not good. Anton LaVey became a local celebrity in San Francisco through his paranormal research and live performances as an organist, including playing the Wurlitzer at the Lost Weekend Cocktail Lounge. He was also a publicly noticeable figure. He attracted many San Francisco notables to his parties. LaVey formed a group called the Order of the Trapezoid, which later evolved into the governing body of the Church of Satan. LaVey began presenting Friday night lectures on the occult and rituals. A member of this circle suggested that he had the basis for a new religion. According to LaVey himself, listen to this date, you guys. Keep telling you about this. According to LaVey himself, on Walpurgisnacht, April 30th, 1966, he ritualistically, this is deep, I'm being sarcastic, shaved his head, allegedly in the tradition of ancient executioners, declared the founding of the Church of Satan, and proclaimed 1966 as the year one, Annos Satanas, the first year of the Age of Satan. Sound like a ritual? LaVey performed satanic baptisms, including the first satanic baptism in history for his 3-year-old daughter, Xena, dedicating her to Satan and the left-hand path. Remember, I keep telling you guys about the left hand and the right hand. You ever see people holding their hand over their left eye? Or their right eye? He performed satanic funerals, including one for a naval machinist, repairman, 3rd class Edward Olson, complete with a chrome-helmeted honor guard. No mention of how he died, is there? In early 1975, LaVey announced that higher degrees of initiation could be given in return for a financial contribution. Where have we seen that? Religion for profit. In June 1975, editor of the church's newsletter, Michael Aquino, left the Church of Satan and formed the theistic temple of Set. He claimed to take an unknown number of dissenters with him. Where have we heard that one before? Trying to think of that one church that broke off like that. Can't think of it right now. FBI tried and claim LaVey was just for showmanship and money. Don't you wonder why? Odd thing for a federal bureau to say, isn't it? The agents reported that LaVey's interest in the Church of Satan is strictly from a monetary point of view, and that he spends most of his time furnishing interviews, writing material, and lately has become interested in photography. Who else likes photography? LRH. Really? So it didn't seem odd to the FBI agents LaVey was throwing his own people under the bus? Where have we seen that before? That didn't seem like a distraction to them. Interesting because some, not all, but some are still up to that today, apparently, if you read the OIG report, mid-year review. I don't want to get into that. You guys can go check it out. In July 1984, Hegarty issued a restraining order against LaVey, which he did not contest. LaVey's third and final companion was Blanche Barton. On November 1st, 1993, Barton gave birth to Satan Xerix Karnacki LaVey. Barton succeeded LaVey as the head of the church after his death and has since stepped down from that role and handed it to Magus Peter H. Gilmore. You know what Magus means, right? It's magician. The earlier video from Geraldo in 1988 shows the ritualistic abuse of animals. Just animals, you guys. Just animals. You can hear about it brought in at the exact spot. I will pass on that. Keno was a weird looking dude. Looks evil to me. Sure did get promoted a lot, didn't he? Weird. He's got the airborne wings. Michael Aquino. Once the biggest scandals involving Aquino were the Presidio child allegations. Go look into that. That never happened, of course. Why would that be? According to the Zaper.org, Lieutenant Colonel, he was really high up, Lieutenant Colonel Psychological Operations, 1st Special Forces Regiment, United States Army, retired. Oh, he even retired. Amazing. The above should be a big tell, not to mention his schooling and degrees facts. Both high school and university in California, another degree from an entity known for connections and controls, George Washington University. Notice degrees which help connect up high up politically. A master's in political science dealing with internal relations and comparative politics. When he got his PhD also from the University of California, Santa Barbara, it was in international relations. Well, that's useful if one wants to connect a web. His dissertation was on the neutron BOMB. Other qualification fields included comparative politics, American government politics, and political theory. Yet he was known for being involved with Anton LaVey's Church of Satan and eventually his own Temple of Set. Did you notice Anton LaVey's daughter Zena, though she broke away from the Church of Satan in much later years, was not only integral in her own father's satanic church, but appeared to still be connected with Aquino? Yeah. Interesting how she was impregnated at such a young age. Where have we seen that before? Was that a moon baby? For Aquino's stint at George Washington University gave him a Master of Public Administration for National Resources Management. I would say he was highly connected and had the skill set to not only steer his agenda, but to protect himself from any and all allegations with those connections. I'm not showing the screenshots because I'm not sure what they are. Check out his Army training, Army training and skill set. Very useful for worldwide connections, don't you think? Let me see what that is. I gotta see that. Okay, of course. If you check out his government training, you will find he took a military intelligence officer course. Military intelligence officer course. Where else have we seen that? you check out his government training, you will find he took a military intelligence officer course, defense intelligence, foreign affairs, did stints at Fort Bragg and Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado for joint space intelligence operations, just like L. Ron Hubbard. Psychological Operations Extension Course, U.S. Army JFK Special Warfare Center, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, 1968. Airborne Paratrooper Course, U.S. Army Infantry Center, Fort Benning, Georgia, 1968. Armor Officer Basic Course, Fort Knox, Kentucky. Psychological Operations. Psychological Operations. What do you guys think you're seeing all around you? 1969. Armor Officer Advanced Course, 1976. Special Forces Green Beret Course, 1976. Command and General Staff Officer Course, 1979. Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Foreign Area Officer Course, 1979. Military Intelligence Officer Qualification Course. Military Intelligence. Where do you guys think I started finding stuff out? I was not in MI, by the way. I could have probably been in it, though. Okay, interesting history of Denver Airport. I'm not going to get into that, but if you guys can find pictures and stuff online, go ahead. Okay, I can't show the whole document, but I'm going to see what else is here regarding his training. He had Strategic Intelligence Course, Defense Intelligence College, 1984. Civil Affairs Officer Advanced Course, 1985. National Security Management, National Security Management, 1986. Okay, that's it for that then. A definite connect to Freemasonry when you look at his awards and initiation in the Zebra document found in sources below, taken from Denver Airport Steamit article. I believe this compass right here makes 47 degrees. That is what Zachary K. Hubbard was explaining. I believe that. Or it could be called on the square. And don't shade off Freemasons, because not all Freemasons are doing evil. They're not. He also did a stint at Fort Huachuca in Arizona. There are 7 military bases in Arizona. Must be helpful to have such administration training and skills, including international relations, as the base in Yuma is in close proximity to their international airfield. Here is a report on what was found, and this hunt involved eyewitness stories from ranchers in the area. Abandoned Camp Tucson found child items, restraints, local news, info, photos, and links. Looks like maybe that video is no longer up. Can't imagine why that would be. Would you guys? Told you I know shit. Not joking around. I don't even get that deep. I just don't. And honestly, there is if you go too far, you should worry about your safety, but I'm not going too far. Was there any truth to the Child S allegations? You decide. Well, I already know the answer. According to IMO Wired, U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino was a satanic force in our military from 1968 to 1990. His specialty is psychological warfare. Mind Wars is one of the books he's written. He and his wife Lilith are open about their Satan worship and have appeared on Oprah and Geraldo. Huh, interesting. The Satanic Monument in the Veterans Park in Minnesota is no surprise. If you guys haven't figured it out, they're trying to make it like that it's a normal thing. Sound familiar? Satanism is practiced within our military. Satanic ritual abuse is a tool used by our military. Michael Aquino is a decorated Army officer and is a Satan worshiper. Profile of a satanic worshiping military operative. The infamous U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, who specialized in psychological warfare, worships Satan. This is a fact. He wears it like a badge of honor. He's proud. Wonder what those poor kids thought. Once an official of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan, he became disgruntled and went out on his own. It's always the same story, isn't it? He founded the Temple of Set and was responsible for getting Satanism accepted in the military as a valid religious option. It's easy to see how his crafty tongue, his impressive accomplishments, and his imposing appearance could lure in vulnerable college students or enlisted men, or not so vulnerable enlisted men who were trained to be psychotic killers and or torturers. Those are the mind control programs. You guys see all the S pow-pows going on throughout the world? I can't get too deep. I want to, but Aquino wasn't an expert in psychological warfare for nothing. Wouldn't you guys wonder more about his family as well? I would. And no one is better at psychological warfare than Aquino's master, Satan. That's where the four horses come in, you guys. Wakey, wakey. Michael Aquino proves that a satanic monument in a veterans park is not just a matter of exercising religious freedom. There's those words again. Who else uses those? Who else uses those two words? Satanism is practiced in our military. MK Ultra was a Charlie Igloo Alpha program that ran from 1953 to 1973. This is a fact. Yeah, like it's shut down, everyone. See more verification here. Lincoln Park in Canada was a military base engaging in cooperative efforts through Canada and the U.S. Charlie Igloo Alpha to experiment on abducted children. Abducted children. Using MK Ultra mind control. This is covered in the series Fringe. And there's another series, I can't think of it. The purpose was to develop super spies and assassins. They love that word spy, don't they? That's what they're telling you. It is being repeated here because the sources were easily validated, and it lays the groundwork for some other scandals that will follow because it proves that these evil military programs do exist. They look at everyone, just everyday people, as things to be experimented on. See more information in here, as inside of here it goes over various Lincoln Parks, all with their own variants of spelling. The concept of utilizing S-abuse and the torture of children is that the abuse forces their young minds to splinter into multiple personalities. They now call them alters. Kathy O'Brien. The personalities become distinctly compartmentalized and can be easily accessed, triggered, and manipulated through the victim's handler, thus creating the perfect spy or assassin. Transformation of America, you guys. It is alleged that, and in the above Steam It link, you will find footage of one man telling the story of his wife. Children in Lincoln Park were S-abused. Many were put to death due to unsustainable injuries. Does this remind you of the Nazi war? To find more information on splintering and what all it entails, go here and ask yourself, why? Do they try to normalize and encourage the sexualization of children? Yeah, one does wonder. For example, why was this magazine put out? I think they took all these videos down. They didn't want people to know. They didn't want people to know. They didn't want people to know. Abercrombie and Fitch. I know which one they're talking about. Wexner, Epstein, and the P-file normalization agenda. I think they're mad, bro. They keep taking the videos down. They're mad. This goes over why it is called MKUltra with evidence. According to IMO Wired, which coincides with many other sources out there, in the late 1980s, there was a rash of incidents in the daycare centers. In the daycare centers. Kind of like McMartin School, huh? In the daycare centers of Army naval bases. Huh. They included Fort Dix in New Jersey and the U.S. Military Academy. West Point. The one that involved Michael Aquino was at Presidio. That never happened to him either, did it? Kind of like the whole McMartin case. Or what's the other one? Boys Town, Nebraska. Go read those books, guys. It's not for the meek, so if you want to live in La La Land and watch the Kardashians and see what the news is telling you that you have to do, keep on. Aquino was implicated as a little girl, exposed him, Mikey and his wife Shambi, as their abusers. In addition, parts of the Army base where abuse was said to have occurred had all the earmarks of satanic abuse. These are rituals, by the way. Walls were painted black. Painted on the front wall was a pentagram. Another wall had Prince of Darkness and DIE painted in red. Other walls had satanic drawings and the numeral 666. In the center of the concrete floor were remnants of logs and burnt wood. There was also an altar with burnt out candles. The Presidio Army base scandal involved the alleged abuse of as many as 60 children. So apparently, the military parents were dropping their children off, and without their knowledge, and maybe some of them did have knowledge, their children were getting heinously SRA abused. It reminds me of, what's that gal's name? The Hempstead. Go check out the Hempstead case. Some children were found to have the VD. What links the testimony of the children to common testimony of children who have been victims of SRA are the following claims. being taken off site without parental permission, interaction with abusers that involves, I'm not going to read that. Ultimately, only one man, Gary Willard Hambrecht, was charged. You know, they always need a fall guy. However, the Army discharged Aquino. Just because he got caught, that's all. Naturally, Aquino portrayed himself as a victim of a witch hunt, simply because he's a Satanist. Sound like a narcissist, anyone? He wrote a book ridiculing the satanic panic. That's also a psychological operation, just so everyone knows. It's mockery. And denied any part of the abuse that occurred at Presidio. His book is entitled Extreme Prejudice, The Presidio Satanic Abuse Scam. For example, Johnny Gosh was the first missing child to be featured on a milk carton. Milk is also a code. The Event Chronicles explains, 1982, 12-year-old Johnny Gosh was abducted in West Des Moines, Iowa, while doing his early morning paper route, never to be seen again. Years later, during an interview with private investigator Ted Gunderson. Ted Gunderson was the man, you guys. Child abductee and slave victim, Paul Bonacci, yeah, they killed him as well, revealed that, as a child, he was directly involved in Gosh's abduction, having acted as a lure to draw Gosh into the hands of his pedophile abductors. According to Bonacci, the abduction was ordered by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, who later picked Gosh up at a farmhouse he was being held at and delivered him to a buyer in Colorado. You guys wonder why nobody ever breaks down these rings? And just so you all know, all the news stories, well, I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of them are just, made up just so people feel good inside. For years, both boys were used for the pedophiliac pressures of high-ranking government officials. Hear more about Johnny Gosh's story here. The Franklin Cover-Up. That's a good book. For more information on Ted Gunderson and the Franklin Cover-Up, inside of here. The phrase satanic panic was much like the Charlie Igloo Alpha phrase, conspiracy theory. Yeah, who do you guys think creates it? And everybody's so willing to keep saying conspiracy theory. It's just funny to me. In that it was both brilliant and effective. Of course it was. People still use it now. They don't even know what the hell they're saying when they say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Everybody uses it just nonchalant now. It's funny to me. Have no idea what it is, but they keep talking about it. These phrases shut down anyone who finds information and or connections troubling. Once upon a time, that was the media's role. Yeah, once upon a time. But now the media is complicit in suppressing stories about child abductions and satanic abuse. The San Jose Mercury News ran an article on July 24th, 1988 by Linda Goldston, entitled Army of the Night, that detailed the abuse at Presidio. CBS was perfectly willing to call attention to rampant child abuse with a 1989 fictional drama called Do You Know the Muffin Man? The movie was in response to current scandals such as the Presidio and McMartin preschool. Where did we guys hear about McMartin before? The movie told the story of typical ritualized child abuse that would occur in a typical daycare center. Aquino felt the drama hit too close to home. He wrote CBS a scathing letter allegedly. Weird. Was he scared or something? Probably not. He's protected, of course. Another problem with the media's silence on this issue is that when abductions and child molestation cases disappeared from the headlines, it was generally assumed by the public that the problem was behind us, when in fact it has grown to a sickening, out-of-control epidemic. Huh, kind of like today, huh? Trying to get to the L. Ron Hubbard, but... Side note, the public may have also been lulled into a false sense of security with Amber Alerts. Well, you don't want me to get into that, you guys. You do not want me to get into that. That sound the alarm when children go missing. Laura Silsby was caught red-handed and arrested for kidnapping children in Haiti. Blank blank bailed her out. I'm not saying the name. Silsby has since changed her name to Laura Gallier and works for AlertSense, a company that provides technology similar to Amber Alert. Odd. The Daily Mail UK reported, hold on, you guys. The Daily Mail UK reported Max Spears was conducting an investigation into alleged pedophilia that took place in U.S. Army-run facility in San Francisco nearly 30 years ago. Spears was inquiring about allegations of widespread abuse against children that was committed at a military base in California by employees acting under the influence of a satanic cult. No, they were all in a coven. Let's just keep it real. In 1987, the U.S. Army demolished a child care center at its Presidio base in Northern California just 1 year after as many as 60 children were abused there, according to the Associated Press, just like they did with McMartin. Epstein Island, all of it. One U.S. Army officer at the base, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, was alleged to have taken part in the abuse, according to the San Jose Mercury News. This was addressed here in the Geraldo interview mentioned earlier, bringing in at exact spot. Spears was looking into the Presidio affair and Aquino's role, which he believed to be part of a larger underground movement that entailed ritual abuse of children in San Francisco in the late 1980s, according to the UK Daily Express. I have reminded people of this quote many times from a movie called The Usual Suspects, featuring Kevin Spacey, who has also been accused of being a pedophile who allegedly committed acts of R against a teen. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. Now, how about L. Ron Hubbard? What's his story and background? Born, my mouth gets so dry. Born March 13, 1911, in Tilden, Nebraska. Hubbard spent much of his childhood in Helena, Montana. After his father was posted to the U.S. Naval Base on Guam, Hubbard traveled to Asia and the South Pacific in the late 1920s. Also, pay very close attention to a lot of military ties. Grubb was a keen glider pilot and met L. Ron Hubbard on a Maryland gliding field in early 1933. 1933. Late 1930s, Hubbard entered the U.S. Navy for war service. Hubbard had moved in with the rocket scientist and occultist John Whiteside Parsons in Pasadena, California, and had begun an intense affair with Parsons' girlfriend, Sarah Northrop Hollister. He basically stole her. And they're not mentioning the creepy, weird ORGY rituals that they all were having. It's what they do. Sound like Diddy? by his wife's own account, did not see Hubbard at all between 1945 and June 1947. 47. In 1946, Hubbard married Sarah Hollister, with whom he had been living for about a year, even though he was still married to his first wife, Sarah Northrop Hollister. Within her story lies the connection of Hubbard to Aleister Crowley. Northrop was a major figure in the Pasadena branch of the Ordo Templi Orientis, a secret society led by the English occultist Aleister Crowley, where she was known as Soror Sister Casa. Now, if you look carefully at Aleister Crowley, you will find, after spending time in Algeria in 1912, he was initiated into another esoteric order, the German-based Ordo Templi Orientis, rising to become the leader of its British branch, which he reformulated in accordance with his Thelemite beliefs. Through the OTO, Thelemite groups were established in Britain, Australia, and North America. Wasn't Bowie really into Crowley as well? And I liked Bowie, but he was into him. She was considered an occultist, and Northrop was a major figure in the Pasadena branch of the Ordo Templi Orientis, a secret society led by the English occultist Aleister Crowley, where she was known... Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. Sorry. Soror Sister Casa. I think I reread that. In April 14th, 1947, on the grounds of desertion and non-support, since neither she nor her children were obtaining any support from her absent husband, because he's a loser, she had no idea that he had already committed bigamy by being married to another woman. Imagine that these fools are worshiping him. Around February-March 1951, Grubb sued him for maintenance, charging that her former husband had promoted a cult called Dianetics, had authored the bestseller Dianetics. Interesting how it was automatically a bestseller, isn't it? The Modern Science of Mental Health, owned valuable property and was well able to afford payment of maintenance for his 2 children. She demanded 42 months of support payments that Hubbard had failed to make since their settlement, totaling $2,503.79. Hubbard had also failed to pay a debt to the National Bank of Commerce, taken out in 1940, which with interest now came to $889.55. Hubbard responded by saying that Grubb should not have custody of the children because she drinks to excess and is a dipsomaniac. In April 1951, Hollister filed for a divorce from Hubbard after he left Cuba with their daughter, Alexis Valerie, accusing him of paranoid schizophrenia and of subjecting her to systematic torture. You guys seeing the patterns? So it was this type of man who created the Church of Scientology. Allegedly. I thought they were going to give us more on him. Apparently not. To tell the story, one must look at how he treated people. For example, Northrop, his second wife, played a significant role in the development of Dianetics, Hubbard's Modern Science of Mental Health. Between 1948 and 1951, she was Hubbard's personal auditor, and along with Hubbard, one of the 7 members of the Dianetics Foundation's board of directors. However, their marriage was deeply troubled. Hubbard was responsible for a prolonged campaign of domestic violence against her and kidnapped both her and her infant daughter. More crimes committed, but no big deal, right? Now, this is interesting, as how often are the Russians and communism used as a mechanism for the cabal, elitist, globalists to get their way? Hint, hint, hint. You can see this tactic used both historically and more recently. Russian collusion, anyone? Who were the true colluders? It's all about dividing and conquering, and everybody just falls into it, so I'm not here to prove anything to anybody. See sources below related to this. Scrolling to see what this is. I have reminded people of this quote many times from a movie called The Usual Suspects, featuring Kevin Spacey, who has also been accused of being a pedophile who allegedly committed acts of R against a teen. What just happened, you guys? I don't know why, but this article really repeats itself a lot. Now, how about L. Ron Hubbard? What's his story and background? I don't want to keep repeating myself here. Okay, I don't know if this repeated or what just happened, but I'm going to go back to the wife talking about Dianetics. Had authored the bestseller Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, owned valuable property, and was well able to afford payment of maintenance for his 2 children. She demanded 42 months of support payments that Hubbard had failed to make since their settlement, totaling $2,503.79. Okay, so he dropped a link regarding some type of SRA. I dropped this link with caution. It is beyond sickening to read, so just be wary, guys. It gives an insider look at what appears to be madness, feeding on depravity, distorting what God created to be good, and warping always a key MO of Satan. You will find terms in here about excerpts from the book Ordo Templi Orientis, SOD, the SOD word, Homa S word, Baphomet, Caliphate, Jihad, and even AIDS, used in a write-up, which makes one reconsider this, as it was around the same time period. Why did they really create it, and what was it patterned after, since it is found among those associated with Aleister Crowley? This party's bouncing all over the place. They claim in Crowley's Dragon Papers he speaks openly about being gay and engaging in adult activities with all kinds of beings, including alien form and at times his alien form. Some creepy stuff, but then when people like this open the door or portals to Satan and his minions, you have entered a realm God never intended for those of us dedicated to good over evil. Crowley referred to his image at times as alien opera. Okay, you guys, he got deep into some other things, and I've already been reading past an hour. So I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.